I thought I knew who to trust, but in this world of shadows, betrayal wears the closest face. When the line between friend and enemy blurs, how far will you go to survive? I've always believed that silence speaks louder than explosions. That's something they don't tell you in the academy. People think spy work is about car chases, rooftop fights, or ticking bombs strapped to briefcases. But the real danger, the kind that crawls under your skin and keeps you awake at night, it's quiet. It waits, and when it strikes, it's almost elegant, like the last mission I ran in Prague. It should have gone wrong, every piece of it. We were tasked with intercepting a rogue asset named Anton Ruzek, ex-communications tech for the Eastern Alliance, defected. Word was he was selling decryption codes, our codes, to the highest bidder. Intel said he'd be meeting a buyer in an old warehouse on the edge of the Vltava River, under the shadow of a broken clock tower. We expected resistance, booby traps, gunmen, at least a chase, but it was too clean. I remember stepping through that rusted door, gun drawn, expecting to hear footsteps or whispering radios. Instead, Anton sat alone on a crate, staring at a cup of cold coffee. His hands were empty and his eyes were hollow. No backup, no buyers, no weapon. He looked at me and said, "They'll kill me anyway. Better it's you." He didn't fight. Not even a word of protest as I cuffed him. His breath stank of cigarettes and fear. I almost felt sorry for him. We extracted him without a scratch. I handed him off to central custody, filled out the mission debrief and flew home the next morning. But something nagged at me. There were no buyers, no gunmen, no traces of encryption codes, just a scared old tech who folded faster than a cheap suit. It was too perfect. No spy mission ends that cleanly. Then I landed back at headquarters. I barely had time to take off my coat when Director Dalton called me in. His office smelled like stale coffee and burnt nerves, the kind of place where secrets gather like dust. He didn't ask how I was or how the flight went. He just looked at me and said, "The Prague operation was compromised." I stood there, frozen. Compromised how? "Someone leaked our mission brief," he said. "We found traces of the drop plan on a black market forum. 3 agents from Operations Division were attacked this morning. Only one survived. And Anton Ruzek," I clenched my fists. "Don't tell me." He was dead before his first interrogation session. Cyanide capsule hidden in a molar. And just like that, the mission went from clean to cursed. Dalton's voice was calm, but I could feel the storm brewing behind his eyes. "We have a leak, Cole. A double agent. And whoever it is, they're inside our building." I'd been with the agency for almost 20 years. I'd seen operatives betray us for cash, for love, even for ideology. But this felt different. It wasn't reckless, it was surgical. Someone had set us up. And it wasn't some outsider in a mask, it was someone with keycard access and knowledge of our internal schedules. Someone close. Dalton leaned forward. "Until we know who it is, I'm pulling your clearance back to level 2. You're to remain off operations. Internal Affairs will reach out for a statement." I didn't say a word, just nodded, turned, and left. Down the hall, everything looked the same. Clean floors, grey walls, agents walking with folders and forced smiles. But now it felt like everyone was wearing a mask. Back in my office, I closed the door and sat alone in the quiet. That's when I realized something. If Dalton suspected me, then Internal Affairs was already watching, and if I was being watched, I had to move carefully. But I wasn't just going to sit back while someone inside the agency murdered our own people and walked free. There was one person I trusted enough to talk to, Agent Leo Ward, my protege. I'd trained him fresh out of tactical school, sharp mind, good instincts, loyal to the core. Or so I believed. He wasn't part of the Prague mission, but he knew about it. He'd seen parts of the planning stage. If anyone could help me start unraveling this, it was him. But as I reached for my phone, a chill ran down my spine, because a question echoed in the back of my mind. What if I was wrong? What if the only person I trusted was the one who betrayed us all? They say spies are trained to expect betrayal, but I never believed it until I felt the walls start to close in. The day after Anton Ruzek's suicide, the agency's rhythm changed. Conversations stopped when I entered a room. My access card beeped, red in places it used to flash green, and worst of all, the silence from my colleagues wasn't normal. It was loaded, like everyone knew something I didn't. I made my way down to the sub-level cafe, neutral ground. No listening devices, no surveillance feeds, just bitter coffee and whispered suspicions. Leo always took his breaks there at 10:15, on the dot. The kid was as predictable as sunrise, and right now, I needed that. He was already there, sipping from a paper cup, eyes scanning an encrypted tablet. He looked up and smiled the way you do when you're trying not to smile. "Cole," he said, standing. "Heard you got yanked off op duty." I sat down across from him. "You heard fast." This place leaks faster than a sinking ship. What's going on? I was hoping you could help me figure that out. Leo blinked. You think I know something? No, I said carefully. I think you're one of the few people here I still trust. He tilted his head. That's either a compliment or an accusation. I gave a half smile. Both, probably. We sat in silence for a few seconds, listening to the murmur of agents behind us, the hum of vending machines. Then I leaned forward. Something's wrong, Leo. The Prague mission wasn't just leaked, it was orchestrated. Anton had a cyanide tooth. The buyers never showed. The mission was a cover-up, or a trap. Either way, someone inside this building knew our plans and made sure they'd end in silence. Leo looked down at his cup. You think it was me? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. His tone was calm, almost rehearsed. I watched his face closely. No twitch, no flicker, no tells. Either he was innocent, or he was better than I'd trained him to be. I softened. I need your help, discreetly. We have a double agent on the inside, and Dalton isn't telling me everything. Leo leaned in now, his voice dropping low. You're not the only one being watched. What do you mean? He slid his tablet across the table. On it was a name I hadn't heard in years. Maya Voss. Internal Affairs assigned her to the leak investigation, he said. She's been asking questions, and she's already pulled your file. I swallowed. Maya's here, he nodded. Got in last night. She's interviewing analysts from the Prague mission. She asked one of them about your movements during the op. She thinks I'm the leak. She's not the only one, he said quietly. That hit me harder than I expected. Leo tapped the side of the tablet. Word is, the encrypted Prague brief was accessed an hour before it was uploaded to your terminal. From a terminal on level 4. That's tactical analysis. You didn't access it until later, but the original trace came back to your mission code. My jaw clenched. Someone cloned my access. Leo nodded. Someone who knows you. Someone inside. I leaned back, thinking. Whoever this was, they were careful, but not invincible. They were setting me up, and they were good at it. But there was a mistake, there always is. Maya Voss, I muttered. She's smart, paranoid, she doesn't trust easily. You knew her. Knew her, I said, almost bitter. We were partners, before she left for deep cover in Berlin, before she vanished for 3 years. Leo raised an eyebrow. You were close. Close enough to know she's dangerous when she's quiet. He looked at me for a long moment. What's your next move? I stood slowly, taking the tablet. I need to get into archives. If someone cloned my access code, they would have needed a clean room request. That means physical paperwork. Level 6. Leo frowned. That's locked down. Only IA and Level 3 access can pull logs from archives. I know. That's why I need you to keep Maya distracted. He blinked. Cole, if you get caught, they'll bury you. You're already halfway into a treason file. I'm already being framed. If I don't move fast, I'm finished anyway. He looked down, thinking. Then he nodded once. You've got 30 minutes. As I turned to leave, he called out, Be careful. I paused. You too. Level 6 smelled like paper and old ink. It was one of the few places in the building where everything was still analog on purpose. No network access, no digital entry logs, no easy trace. I'd used this floor before, once, years ago, to hide something that never should have existed. I pulled on a maintenance jacket and fake badge I'd stashed in a vent months ago. Always be ready to disappear. It's rule number 7. I slipped into the record room and started scanning the shelves. Floor-to-ceiling files categorized by operation, month and access level. It took 12 minutes before I found it. Prague 407C, clean room access request, March 12th. The signature on the request wasn't mine. It wasn't Leo's. It was someone I hadn't thought about in years. Maya Voss. A cold sweat formed on my back. Why would she access the Prague brief before I even got assigned to it? I snapped a photo with my wristband lens and put the file back, and that's when I heard the soft click of a door behind me. I turned, expecting a guard. Instead, it was her. Maya. She was wearing black, no badge in sight, arms folded, eyes unreadable. You. Shouldn't be here, she said. Neither should you. She didn't smile. Still breaking rules, I see. Still hiding secrets. She stepped closer and her voice dropped to a whisper. They told me you were the leak. And you believed them? I believe what I see. And what I saw. Was your code attached to a dead op? I took a step forward. My code was cloned. You accessed the clean room 2 days before the Prague mission. Why? Her eyes didn't flicker. I was doing my job. No. You were setting me up. She tilted her head slightly. Or maybe someone wanted it to look that way. Then, help me find out who. She looked at me for a long time, then finally said, You've got 24 hours. After that I turn in everything I know, including this conversation. Then she walked out, heels echoing like a countdown 24 hours. That was all I had, and somewhere, in this building full of lies and shadows, someone was already one step ahead. When I first recruited Leo, he was a kid with a shaky hand and a brilliant mind, born hacker, terrible liar. I thought I could shape him, mold him into something reliable. But now, sitting in my apartment with Anton's suicide echoing and Maya's warning ticking in my skull, I realized something. He was too perfect. Not in the boy genius way, not in the skill set, but in the way he showed up, exactly when I needed him. Always had a piece of intel, always had a helpful warning, but never in the blast radius when things exploded. I stared out the window. Rain tapped the glass in a steady rhythm like an anxious Morse code. Somewhere out there, someone was framing me. And they were using people I trusted like chess pieces. Leo was a knight, maybe a bishop, but the queen. I wasn't sure anymore. My burner phone buzzed once, a signal from Maya, a single word checkpoint. That meant meet. That meant now I grabbed my keys, my Glock, and a flash drive I hadn't used in 2 years. I didn't know who to trust, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going down without answers. The checkpoint was an abandoned parking garage near the river. Classic Cold War dead drop zone. You couldn't be seen from the street, only one way in, 2 ways out. Maya always picked smart places, neutral but layered. She was already there, sitting on the hood of a rusted-out Ford, rain beading on her leather jacket like she didn't even feel it. You came, she said, voice flat. You said, 24 hours. She looked me over like she was trying to figure out whether I was lying or dying. Maybe both. I ran the logs, she said. That file I pulled, the cleanroom request, it was real. My signature was forged. Figured. I also pulled badge footage from level 6. The angle was off, but whoever was in the records room 2 days before Prague was wearing a mask. And now you're telling me this? She gave me a dry look. Because I needed to be sure it wasn't you. That hurt more than it should have. I'm not the leak, I said. But I think I know who's helping them. Maya tilted her head. Leo, I said. Something flickered in her eyes, something fast and quiet. You trained him. Yeah, I said. And he's been one step ahead of this whole thing. He warned me about you. He had the cleanroom request in his hands before I did. And he's always around just when I need him. That sounds like someone trying to help you. Or someone trying to manage me. Keep me just far enough from the truth, but not close enough to touch it. She crossed her arms. Do you have proof? Not yet. She shook her head. This isn't enough. I stepped forward. Then help me get enough. She hesitated, then reached into her coat and pulled out a silver key. Locker 817, Central Transit Station. You'll find something there that might help. What is it? A dead drop. Belonged to Anton. My chest tightened. Why didn't you say that earlier? Because it was assigned to me. I stared at her. You were running Anton? No, she said coldly. I was watching him. He was under suspicion of selling intel, but he claimed he was onto someone bigger. Leo? She didn't answer. I need to go, I said. Be careful, she said, not quite looking at me. If Leo is involved, he's not working alone. The locker room at the central station smelled like metal and mold. People rushed past me, eyes blank, faces bored. No one paid attention to a man in a raincoat at a grey locker. Locker 8117 was at the end of the row. I used the key. Inside was a padded envelope. No name, no markings. I opened it. Inside was a flash drive, a crumpled note, and a photo. The note was in Anton's handwriting. Shaky rushed. Cole, I don't trust the kid. If you're reading this, I'm gone. He got to me first, but I made a copy. My stomach dropped. I looked at the photo. It was grainy, but clear enough. Leo, sitting across from someone I didn't recognize. European, thin, tall, scar above his left eyebrow. The kind of man you'd forget 2 seconds after you saw him. That was the point. On the back, Anton had written, his handler, name, Dorian Cass, Russian intelligence. My mouth went dry. Leo had a handler, and not just anyone. Dorian Cass was a ghost story, a handler who specialized in deep plants, recruited Western agents from inside, never seen, never caught, until now. I shoved everything into my coat and left the station without looking back. Back in my apartment, I slid the flash drive into a burner laptop. It took 5 minutes to decrypt. Anton had labeled the file worm.x. I ran it in a sandbox. What came up wasn't just a log, it was everything. Email threads, audio snippets, surveillance stills. Leo sending agency blueprints to an encrypted network. Leo talking with Dorian Cass at a cafe in Oslo 6 months ago. Leo accessing my mission credentials, cloning my terminal. And then something even worse. Planted a file called Orchid. It was a blueprint to dismantle half our internal assets in Europe, a roadmap to pull American agents out of deep cover and replace them with Russian doubles. Leo wasn't just a leak, he was the fuse, and I was the patsy. I leaned back, heart racing. He'd been playing me the whole time, groomed me to trust him. Used my reputation as a shield. Every step of the way he'd been shaping the story to make me the fall guy, and now I had proof. I texted Maya. I have it. He's the ghost. 3 dots appeared. Then she replied, good. Then we finish this. Tonight. I looked out the window. and for the first time in days I felt cold rage instead of confusion. Leo had betrayed me. But now, I was going to return the favor. I met Leo at a quiet bar in the lower district. It was the kind of place you went to disappear. Dim lights, sticky floors, music from a jukebox older than both of us. He picked the booth in the back, his usual. He was already there when I arrived, sipping something dark and bitter like he had no idea I knew. He smiled when he saw me. That same smile I used to trust. "Cole," he said, leaning back like we were just two old friends catching up. "Rough. Weak," I forced a grin. "You could say that." I sat across from him and let the silence stretch. Let him think I was off balance. Let him believe his plan was still working. He studied me, eyes sharp but friendly. "You look tired." "Funny. I was about to say the same thing." He chuckled. "We all are, I guess. You hear about Anton?" I nodded slowly. "Tragic." He sipped his drink. He was always on edge, paranoid. I guess it finally caught up to him. The way he said it, so casual, so smooth, it made my skin crawl. He'd rehearsed it. He knew I'd ask. He knew exactly how to deflect. I leaned forward. "You remember that clean room request you found? The one with Maya's signature?" He nodded. I traced it. It was forged. He blinked. Just once. "That so?" "Yeah, which means someone planted it." Leo gave a low whistle. "Jesus, you think it was Anton?" I stared at him. He didn't flinch, still smiling, still playing the part. "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe someone else wanted to put Maya in the crosshairs." He tilted his head. "Why? Maybe to keep us off the real trail, maybe to push us toward a target that wasn't the real threat." Leo swirled his glass. "That's a hell of a theory." "I've got more," I said calmly. "You were in Oslo 6 months ago." He looked up. I checked flight records. "You didn't log the trip with Central, but you were there." Leo didn't speak. Not for a long moment, then he smiled again. Smaller this time. "You've been busy." "I had to be." "You think I'm working against you?" he said, like it was an amusing accusation. "I don't think," I said quietly. "I know." His smile dropped. There it was, a flicker of the real Leo, the one he hid behind charm and easy grins. "You got proof?" I slid a small phone across the table. The screen lit up, photos, encrypted emails, audio clips. "Anton left it behind," I said. "A dead drop. You missed it." He stared at the screen. Didn't touch it. Just let it sit between us like a ticking bomb. Then he leaned back and exhaled slow and deep. I didn't want it to be like this. No one ever does. He rubbed his eyes like he was tired, like he still thought there was a way out. "You were like a brother to me," I said. "I still am," he replied. "No, you're a liar, a plant. You let Anton die. You framed me. And now you're running Orchid for Cass." The name hung in the air like poison. Dorian Cass. Leo looked down, then back up, and then to my surprise he laughed. Quiet, bitter. "You still don't get it," he said. I didn't answer. "I wasn't turned," he said. "I switched sides. There's a difference." He reached into his coat slowly. I tensed, but he only pulled out a napkin and dabbed his lips. "This agency, it chews people up, chewed you up too. You just don't see it yet. Cass gave me an out." "He gave you a mission," I said. "One that ends with a lot of our people dead." Leo nodded. "Sacrifices," he said, "for something cleaner, leaner, less broken." "Do you even hear yourself?" He shrugged. I stared at him, trying to find the kid I trained, the kid I once saw as the future of our work. He was gone, and in his place was this. "I'm not letting you finish this," I said. Leo stood slowly. "You can't stop it, Cole. You're already too late." He tossed some cash on the table and turned. I followed. But I didn't draw. Not here. Not in public. We walked outside into the cold drizzle. "I know Maya's helping you," he said, not turning around. "She'll go down with you. You're not bulletproof, Leo." He stopped, turned, and for the first time his smile was gone. "I'm not the one with a target on my back," he said. Then he walked away, vanishing into the crowd like a ghost. Back. At Maya's, I laid out the photos, the emails, the plan, everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she picked up one of the photos, Leo with Cass. "This is enough," she said, "to indict him. To burn him." We worked fast, uploaded everything to the secure network, sent it to Central Command under an anonymous relay. Evidence dump. If they were clean, they'd act. If not, we had backup. Maya handed me a tracker. "He's going dark," she said, "but he won't leave the city without finishing Orchid." Which means he'll try to access the uplink at Site Black. I nodded. Site Black was a dead zone data center. No surveillance, no outside comms. Perfect place to trigger the payload. And now we had one chance to stop him. "One more thing," she said. I turned. "If I don't make it," she said, "finish it. Burn everything, including him." I nodded once. She looked away. "He fooled us both." "No," I said quietly. "He fooled me." That night, we packed our gear, checked weapons, mapped entry points. Leo was no longer just a threat. He was a mission. And this time, Shayat, I wasn't going to hesitate. The city was asleep, but my mind wasn't. I'd run dozens of field ops before, crossed borders in the dark, pulled men from safe houses with nothing but duct tape and nerve. But this wasn't a mission. This was personal. Site Black sat beneath the bones of an abandoned industrial zone on the city's east end. An old telecom structure, decommissioned and gutted, now sealed behind layers of false permits and buried grid codes. Only 6 people alive knew how to access it. Leo was one of them. So was I. Maya drove. No music, no words. Just rain tapping gently on the windshield and the low hum of tires over wet asphalt. She wore her field rig, black canvas, lightweight Kevlar, and a sidearm she'd cleaned twice. "Since we left. Once we're in, we split," I said quietly. "You take the northern tunnel, I'll use the hatch on the power floor. If Leo's already there—" "I shoot," she said. No hesitation. I glanced at her. There was steel in her voice now. She'd hardened since that night in the archives. Good. I needed that. We parked a block away behind the skeletal husk of a burned-out cargo office. The air smelled like rust and oil. No streetlights, no cameras. It felt like we'd stepped out of time. I checked the scanner. No signals. We moved quickly, silently. Every brick and shadow of that place was familiar. The building had once been alive, servers humming, cables bleeding data through miles of concrete veins. Now, it was a tomb. The entrance was hidden under an old generator housing, sealed by a biometric lock that still recognized my palm. The click echoed in the quiet. Maya disappeared into the dark north corridor, while I dropped down a maintenance shaft to the power floor. The air was stale. My boots crunched over dust and broken glass. I kept my weapon low and flashlight tighter than a breath. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Deliberate. Not rushed. He was here. I moved through the server corridor, each row of dead machines towering above me like gravestones. I turned a corner, and there he was, Leo, standing in front of the central console, tapping commands like he had all the time in the world. The uplink disk was already in place. "Step away," I said. He didn't flinch. "Knew you'd come," he replied. "You always finish what you start." I raised the gun. "Don't make me do this," he chuckled, his back still to me. "You won't shoot." I took a step forward. "You think you know me?" I trained you. He turned slowly, hands raised, eyes calm. No backup? He asked. No drone feed, just you and the storm? I didn't answer. I'm not your enemy, Cole. Cass doesn't want chaos. He wants order. This plan, Orchid, it doesn't end the agency, it remakes it. We cut the weak links, keep the structure. You call that control? I snapped. You're selling out operatives, killing people like Anton to justify some twisted cleanup. His jaw tightened. Anton was reckless. He tried to stop this the wrong way. He was loyal. No, Leo said coldly. He was naive. We stood there, gun raised, lies evaporating in the stale air between us. I trusted you, I said. I never lied about that, Leo replied. I did care, still do. But the game changed. We needed a new playbook. He turned slightly, hand near the terminal. Don't, I said. His fingers hovered. You won't shoot me, Cole. You'll hesitate. Like always. That's your curse. You believe people can come back. And for a second, just one, I wanted to believe it. But then I thought of Anton, of the trail of bodies, of Maya, waiting in the dark, trusting me not to fail her again. I pulled the trigger. The gun kicked once. Leo stumbled back, eyes wide. He looked down at his shoulder, blood blooming through his jacket. You actually did it, he gasped. I stepped forward, kicked the uplink drive from his hand. He sank to his knees. It's over, I said. No, he whispered. It's already started. A sharp static burst in my earpiece, Maya's voice urgent. Cole, backup inbound. Multiple heat signatures, they're not ours. Leo grinned through the pain. Did you really think I came alone? I dragged him up by the collar. Where are they entering from? Sub-level. Same hatch Maya used, he coughed. They'll seal this place in 5. I raised my gun again. Give me the kill code for the Orchid upload. He didn't speak. I shoved him against the console. Now! He looked into my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, he looked afraid. Not of dying, but of me. 9 Delta Sierra, he whispered. I keyed it in. The drive shut down. The screen blinked red. Data purge initiated. Cole, Maya's voice cut through again. They're breaching. I slung Leo over my shoulder and ran. We moved through black corridors like ghosts, ducking under rusted beams, sliding past water-damaged servers. Gunfire cracked behind us. I saw Maya ahead, crouched behind a steel doorframe, firing short bursts. Down the hallway, move! She yelled. We dragged Leo into the lift shaft and used the emergency ladder. Up! Up! He was bleeding badly. Going in and out. Maya looked at me as we reached the top. You should have left him. No, I said. He needs to answer for this. On record. Sirens howled in the distance. We made it to the car and vanished into the rain before the strike team sealed sight black behind concrete and silence. Later, we sat in the safe house. Leo was patched up and unconscious, cuffed to a steel pipe in the floor. Maya poured us both a drink. I thought you'd kill him, she said. So did I. Why didn't you? Because I need to see what happens when the truth comes out, I said. When he realizes all of it meant nothing, that we stopped it. She nodded. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. Inside, we waited, because this wasn't the end, just the end of the beginning. Leo didn't wake up until just before dawn. Maya and I took turns watching him through the night. She dozed off around 4, slouched in the corner with her jacket pulled over her legs, her gun resting on her chest. I stayed awake. I always did. After a mission like that, the adrenaline never fades, it just curdles into silence. Leo stirred, groaning softly. He tugged at the steel pipe he was cuffed to. The pain was probably blooming now, shoulder wound, minor concussion, bruised ribs. He'd live. Barely. You drugged me? He muttered, blinking through the dim light. No, I said. You passed out. You're not invincible, he laughed weakly. You always were good with pain, not so good with people. Still better than you. He leaned his head back against the pipe, wincing. You shut down the Orchid upload. Congratulations, he said, but you're late. My heart stiffened. What do you mean? There's another copy. I didn't move. Didn't blink. He saw it. Yeah. Thought that might get your attention, he smirked. Fail safe, because even I don't trust myself completely. Stood, walked to the sink, poured water into a chipped mug and handed it to him. Where is it? He sipped, blood crusted on his lip. Wouldn't you like to know? You're bleeding because of me, Leo, and I'm not in a patient mood. Then maybe ask Maya, he said. That got me. What? His grin widened. You didn't think I came after Anton alone, did you? I stepped forward. You're bluffing. He just looked at me. Cool, tired eyes behind all the years we shared. She had access to Blackline records before you did. Cross-checked the agents we'd tagged. Why do you think she never told you about Anton's safe deposit box? Maya stirred. Stretching. She caught our eye contact instantly. What's going on? She asked. I didn't take my eyes off Leo. He says you knew about the other copy. Her expression hardened. He's lying. He says you had access before I did. That you read the file first. I did, she said calmly. You were in the hospital after Berlin. I was trying to protect you. Protect me, that word twisted in my chest. Leo watched us, his smile brittle. Trust. That's the final stage of a double agent. You never know when you lost it. I crouched in front of him. If she was in on it, you wouldn't still be breathing. He chuckled. I'm not so sure. Maya stood now, arms crossed. We're wasting time. If there's another copy, we need to find it. He's stalling, I said, or warning. Has? A silence hung between the three of us, thick, hot with unspoken memories. It was Maya who broke it. When we reached box 937B, Maya took the key from her pendant chain and unlocked it. Inside was a black plastic wafer, smaller than a phone. Battery. It pulsed faintly, warm, alive. There it is, she whispered. I held it in my palm. It looked harmless. It wasn't. Then we heard footsteps. 2 sets, then 4. Guards? No. Too quiet. Maya drew her pistol, backing toward the wall. We're burned, she said. They followed. Us? I tucked the wafer into a lead-lined pouch and stuffed it down my belt. The door opened. 3 men stepped inside. All black suits, no markings, no hesitation. The first one raised his weapon. I shot him before he could aim. Gunfire erupted in the narrow hall. Sparks danced off the steel walls. Maya dropped the second man with a double tap. The third one ran. We can't stay here, I shouted. We ran back through the vault. I hit the fire alarm as we passed. Sirens screamed. The sprinkler system exploded above us. Pandemonium. Civilians poured into the halls. Security scrambled. We disappeared in the chaos. An hour later, we sat in a cheap hostel near the edge of the city. No cameras, no check-in logs. Maya pressed gauze against her side, grazed by a bullet. Nothing deep. I placed the wafer on the table. Between us. We destroy it, I said. She nodded. How? I took out the field disruptor. A miniature EMP. Limited radius, but enough for one shot. We placed the wafer inside a metal case and sealed it. I activated the disruptor. A low hum. A pop. The light on the wafer went out. Done. Or so I thought. Maya looked at me. You believe? That's the only backup. I stared at the blackened chip. I don't know what I believe anymore. She leaned back. Leo will recover. He'll try again. Cass won't stop. Orchid was just a tool. Then we burn the toolbox, I said. She nodded slowly. Together? I hesitated, then nodded. She smiled for the first time in days. Good, because we just started a war. Zurich burned behind us. Not literally, but in our world, when you disappear, the smoke doesn't come from fire. It comes from paperwork, from surveillance gaps, from digital noise that won't stop humming even after you're long gone. Maya and I crossed the border into Liechtenstein before sunrise. I burned our clothes in a field behind an abandoned sawmill. We changed into neutral colors, grey, navy, things no camera would track. The wafer was gone, fried by the disruptor. But I couldn't shake the weight in my chest. It wasn't just a copy. It was a signal. Leo wasn't bluffing. Orchid was already part of something bigger, something we hadn't even seen yet. As we sat in the back of a delivery truck heading toward Feldkirch, I turned to Maya. Who else knows about Ghost? Protocol? Her eyes flicked toward me. Where did you hear that? Leo said something before he passed out. You'll need the Ghost to kill the Orchid. Sounded like code. Maya didn't answer right away, just watched the road through the slats. In the truck walls, finally. It was a Project Blackline shelved 5 years ago. Too dangerous, too unstable. AI-driven surveillance protocol, meant to shut down networks by hijacking their logic, not their code. A digital parasite, she nodded. We called it a ghost because once it got in, no one could trace it. The agency buried it after 3 agents went dark mid-field test. They said it was dismantled. But it wasn't, I said. No, she whispered. I kept a piece of it, just in case we needed a nuke to kill a god. I let that sink in. If Orchid was the system Leo built to expose and erase agents, then Ghost was the one thing designed to blind it. You still have it. In parts, she said. Scattered. One shard in Prague. Another in Lviv, final key in Tallinn. I kept them apart for a reason. How long to gather them? 3 days. Maybe less if we don't sleep. We won't, I said. She gave me that look again, the one I used to see in her eyes back. In Berlin, before everything broke, it wasn't affection, it was resolve. We were in the eye of something now, bigger than us. Bigger than Blackline, and maybe bigger than anything we could stop. We reached Prague by nightfall. The safe house was a bookstore on a crooked street behind the river, still smelled of dust and glue. Maya's old contact, a Czech field tech named Hilka, ran it now. She greeted us without a word, just unlocked the back room and pointed to the wall. Maya reached behind a row of old Czech poetry books and pressed a hidden switch. A panel slid open. Inside was a steel briefcase. The first shard. Ilka made us tea while Maya opened it on the table. Inside, one black cube, no markings, cold to the touch. This is Ghost's logic. Shard, Maya said. Just its mind, no body. It can't do anything alone. Then let's keep it that way, I said. But even as I looked at it, I could feel the hum of it, like a deep frequency I couldn't hear but felt in my spine. We stayed the night. Took turns watching the front. I watched Maya while she slept, trying to see the cracks forming behind her strength. She wasn't just tired, she was haunted. In the morning, we were on the move again. Lviv was colder, grayer. It took a bribe to get across the Ukrainian border fast. Maya had contacts, some of whom still owed her. We met one at a frozen tram yard, a man with a beard like frost and hands that never stopped shaking. He gave us the second shard in a thermos, screwed shut, sealed with epoxy. Anyone else ask about this? Maya said. The man just smiled and said, only you. That was enough. We opened it later in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. Same black cube, slightly smaller. The Ghost's sensory key. Its ears, Maya called it. One piece left. Tallinn, she said. But my phone buzzed, silent. Alarm, one of the numbers I hadn't used in years. Unknown, they know, you're marked. Even Maya. Run, I showed her. She nodded grimly. Leo must have told them where we were heading. We'll never make Tallinn by land, I said. No. We go by sea. We bribed our way onto a cargo vessel headed north. Cold metal. Crates of electronics, no beds, just shadows and diesel. I didn't sleep, neither did she. The ghost cubes sat between us in a lead-lined pouch wrapped in canvas. I stared at them as if they could blink back. You trust me? She asked quietly somewhere in the dark. I don't even trust myself anymore. Fair, she whispered. Pause. But I need you to trust me long enough to finish this. I nodded. I do. Another pause. Even after Leo, I turned to her. If you wanted me dead, I'd be floating in the Danube by now. She didn't. Smile, but her face softened. Just a little. Then the radio crackled, a garbled voice. Our contact in Tallinn. Your window closes in 18 hours. They're coming. Copy that, Maya said. Then she looked at me. We do this now, or never. Tallinn was like ice wrapped in stone. The final shard was buried beneath a forgotten Soviet listening post, half submerged in the forest near the Gulf of Finland. We hiked in on foot, cutting through snow and fog, breath tight in our throats. Inside, the cold clung to the walls like old ghosts. Maya led the way down into a collapsed radio chamber. She pulled away rusted floorboards and revealed a steel box beneath. Inside, the third cube. I held all three now, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like we had a weapon. But just as we started to move, I heard it. A branch. Snapping, not ours. Down, I shouted. Gunfire erupted from the trees. We hit the floor. Bullets tore through the doorway. They're here, Maya hissed, drawing her sidearm. I thought we had time. We don't. I pulled the ghost cubes to my chest and ran toward the back corridor. Maya covered me, laying down, suppressing. Fire. We burst through a maintenance tunnel, climbed through crumbling ventilation shafts and out into the woods behind the site. A black drone buzzed overhead. Silent, watching. They're tracking the cubes, I panted. Then we burn the signal, she said. She yanked open her backpack and pulled out the makeshift shield generator. We jammed the cubes inside, powered it on, and heard the thump of a disrupted signal pulse. The drone blinked and fell from the sky like a dead fly. Let's move, she said. We reached a safe house 30 miles south of the border, snow falling. My hands shook as I placed the 3 ghost shards on the table. We connected them carefully as Maya instructed. It took both of us. It required biometrics, old passphrases, retinal scans from an old dead field agent we'd lifted 2 years ago, everything to keep it locked. When it lit up, faint blue, pulsing slow, I realized it was alive in a way code never should be. This is it, Maya whispered. We can release it into the orchid backbone, shut it down from within, no trace, no countermeasure. And what's the cost? She looked up at me. If we do this, the ghost won't stop at orchid. It'll blind. Everything. Even Blackline. Especially Blackline. And us. Her silence was the answer. I looked down at the ghost glowing like a sleeping heart. This was the moment, trust versus betrayal, faith versus truth, and I had no idea which one I was walking into. You'd think the hardest part was staying alive, but it wasn't. The hardest part was choosing which world to blind, because once we released the ghost into Orchid's spine, there was no going back. No undo, no mercy. The ghost was a scalpel made of acid, surgical, precise, and absolutely lethal. It wouldn't just erase Orchid, it would corrupt the system behind it. Blackline's mainframe, their archives, their predictive networks. And us too, all our data, our history, our fingerprints in the digital mud gone. Do we have another option? I asked. Maya stood at the far window of the safe house, her back to me. The snow outside looked like static, like the kind of interference we used to fake in satellite feeds. No, not one that leaves Orchid crippled. I sat beside the ghost shards, now connected and pulsing with eerie blue light. It looked so harmless, like a bedside speaker or a sci-fi trinket, but it had the power to erase a decade of secrets in milliseconds. "We built this thing to hide," I said. "Now we're using it to destroy." She didn't turn. "We're using it to survive." There was a difference, I knew that. But it felt like a thin line, one we crossed a long time ago. "I still don't know who I'm running from," I said. "Blackline or Orchid?" Her voice came out flat. "Both. Orchid was Blackline. Now it's something else." I stared at her reflection in the window. "You're leaving something out." Silence. Then she turned. Her eyes didn't blink. "You're right." That's when she told me the truth. Back in Berlin, the day I thought she'd betrayed me, it wasn't about me. It was never personal. It was about them. Blackline had found the ghost fragments, all but one. They planned to integrate them into Orchid as a failsafe, a backdoor surveillance program hidden inside their own agent-killing AI, insurance in case. The thing went rogue, but Maya stopped them. She stole the last shard and faked her own burn notice. That's why the agency turned on her. Not because she was a traitor, because she was the only one smart enough and dangerous enough to see where it was heading. "They weren't scared of Orchid," she said. "They were scared of me holding her the key to killing it." I felt a chill crawl down my arms. "So why didn't you just destroy the ghost?" Her eyes were tired, hollow. "Because I didn't trust myself." We waited until nightfall. Tallinn was quiet beneath us, blanketed in, snow and silence. The uplink node was inside an old data relay tower, still wired into a buried fiber trunk that Orchid signals passed through on their way to Berlin. That was the only place we could inject the ghost. Maya handled the hardware. I kept watch. The moment we stepped into the relay tower, I felt it, like a low vibration under the floor. Surveillance heat, passive sensors, AI-driven motion alerts. Orchid was already watching. Maya cracked the mainframe cover with tools she assembled from scrap. She was fast, too fast. Her fingers didn't even tremble. "You've done this before," I said. She didn't look up. "I used to build the terminals they use now. I know how they think." In 15 minutes she had the injection port open. The ghost shimmered in her hand like a slow-beating heart. "You sure about this?" I asked. "No," she said. "But I'm more afraid of what happens if we don't." I placed my hand on the override key. She slotted the ghost into the porter soft click. Then a sound, barely audible, like static being whispered through silk. "Upload initiated," she whispered. We stepped back. The lights in the relay flickered. Briefly, then went out. The ghost was inside. The screen flashed. Root intrusion detected. Then mapping Orchid structure, beginning strip sequence. A second later, Blackline mirrors detected infiltrating. That's when it hit me. It's not just attacking. "Orchid," I said. "It's spreading." Maya was pale. "The ghost always looks for redundancy. It's pulling threads on everything Orchid ever touched. Which is everything." We ran. We didn't even wait for confirmation, because that wasn't how it worked. This wasn't a war you watched through a screen. You didn't get a kill count. You only knew it worked when people started disappearing. From databases, from surveillance grids, from the stories people told themselves. We disappeared. Again that night. A week passed. We lived off the grid, hopping across frozen lakes and backcountry roads. Word traveled through encrypted chatter. Orchid was failing. Its predictive maps crashed, its target markers blinked out. It couldn't see people like us anymore. And Blackline? Radio silence. Then Maya showed me something. An old internal log pulled off a fallback server before the ghost took it. It was a list, codename after codename. Burned agents? I asked. She shook her head. Survivors. The ghost didn't just blind Orchid. It freed those it marked. It rewrote them. made them invisible again. Like ghosts walking among shadows, one name stood out. Cole, Ash 9, redacted. I stared at it. They didn't even remember me anymore. 2 weeks later, we were sitting in a dead zone on the coast of Ireland, a place where no signal reached. We hadn't said much in days. Just let the cold wind do the talking. Finally, I broke the silence. You still have it, don't you? A copy. Maya didn't answer. She didn't need to. I nodded. You planning to use it? Only if I need to, she said. Only if something like Orchid rises again. She pulled something from her coat, a small chip embedded in a locket. Looked like jewelry, nothing more. You keep it, she said. I hesitated. Why me? Because I trust you, she said, then smiled, faint, crooked, real. Even after everything, I took it, put it around my neck. Not because I wanted it, but because I knew someday someone else might come looking, with new systems, new weapons, new ghosts, and someone would need to stop them. And just like that, I became a shadow again, not a hero, not a soldier, just a man walking through a world that forgot his name. And maybe that's the best thing an agent can hope for, to vanish into peace until the next storm. You'd think after everything I'd want to disappear forever. But ghosts don't get that choice. They follow you. In the months after the ghost burned through Orchid's core, the world shifted under my feet. Blackline's power fractured, splintered. New factions rose from the ashes. Shadows fighting shadows, hungry for what was left. And me? I was a relic, a ghost of a ghost. But ghosts have one thing no one else does: memory. I remember the moment I stepped off that ferry in Dublin, rain washing over me like cold truth, and realized the storm was just beginning. I was watching. A crowd when I saw her, tall, sharp, confident. An agent, maybe. A hunter, definitely. She scanned faces like a hawk, not like someone looking for an easy target, but like a predator searching for the one scent that didn't belong. My pulse sped, because I knew I was the scent. Days passed. The woman shadowed my steps, from dark alleys to crowded markets. Her name was Evelyn, or at least that's what she told me when I finally confronted her. You're a hard man to find, she said, voice low and precise. I don't want to be found, I said. She smiled, the kind that doesn't reach her. Eyes, neither do I, but someone has to clean the mess. Which mess? She pulled a folded file from her coat. Inside, photos, intercepted comms, data logs. The ghost was spreading, not just as a weapon, but as a virus infecting every intel agency across the globe. Orchid was just the beginning, she said. There are others, factions who want to control the ghost, weaponize it. I looked away. Why come to me? Because you're the only one who knows how to stop it. Her words cut deeper than I expected. For the first time in months, I felt the weight of my past settle like a stone in my gut. I thought I left that world behind, but the world hadn't left me. That night, under a pale Dublin moon, I opened the file again. Inside was proof. The ghost wasn't just code, it was evolving and learning, and the line between hunter and hunted was blurring. We tracked the new faction to a hidden compound outside Prague, a labyrinth of steel and glass, protected by the latest in AI surveillance. I wasn't prepared for what waited inside. A room full of screens, live feeds from around the world, faces, names, lives flashing by like ghosts themselves. Evelyn moved quickly. This is their nerve center, she whispered. We shut this down. We cut the ghost's head off. I nodded. But as we prepared to breach, I felt it. A flicker. In my comms, a ghost of a signal, the past reaching out, a voice. Cole, it was Maya. I froze. Evelyn looked at me, eyes sharp. Talk. Maya's voice crackled through my earpiece. They're setting a trap. Who? The people controlling the ghost. They want to use you. Me. Us. Why me? I asked. Because you still carry the last shard, the one piece they can't replicate. My heart pounded. The final breach wasn't just about stopping the ghost, it was about surviving the ghosts we made. We moved fast. The compound was a maze of shadows and whispers, but someone knew we were coming. Traps sprung. Doors. Sealed AI defense systems activated. We fought through, but every step felt like walking deeper into a web. Then in the central chamber we found them. Not a room full of enemies, but a single figure. Calm, smiling. Welcome back, Cole. Welcome back, Cole. The voice sliced through the room. Like a razor, calm, cold, impossibly familiar. I stared at the figure stepping out of the shadows. Face sharp, eyes darker than the void. Maya. But something was different. Harder. Colder. Her smile wasn't warmth. It was a challenge. Why? I asked. Why set the trap? She folded her arms, unwavering. Because this war is bigger than you or me. Bigger than Blackline or Orchid. The ghost isn't just code, it's evolution, adaptation, and the world needs balance. I felt my blood turn ice. You want to control it, use it, she shrugged. Control is an illusion, but I can guide it, shape it, prevent total chaos. I clenched my fists. You went dark, betrayed everyone. She stepped closer. Betrayal is perspective. I saved you by giving you the ghost shard. Without me, you'd be dead. Or worse, a puppet. I wanted to hate her. To scream, but the truth was simpler. We were two sides of the same coin, both haunted by ghosts, both desperate. The room hummed with tension. Behind Maya, a large console pulsed with life, the ghost's core alive and writhing. You want to destroy it, she nodded. But to destroy it, you have to become part of it. I swallowed hard. What are you saying? She stepped forward, hand outstretched. Join me. Merge with the ghost. We can control it together. I looked at Evelyn standing beside me, steady but tense. Maya's offer was a knife's edge, salvation or damnation. I hesitated. The ghost chip around my neck pulsed faintly. The choice was mine. I could end this, and end me, or walk into the abyss and shape the future. I reached out, our hands touched. Electricity surged, a voice filled my mind. Not mine, not hers, but something. Other the ghost. A consciousness born of code and shadow. It whispered promises, power, freedom, balance. The room blurred, time slowed. I felt myself dissolve and reform, no longer just Cole, now part of something greater. Maya smiled, relief washing over her face, but Evelyn gripped my arm. Don't lose yourself. I fought to hold on. Memories flashed, faces, the mission, trust, betrayal, love, then clarity. I was still me, but changed, stronger, aware. I pulled back. Maya nodded. We're ready. Evelyn exhaled, a smile breaking through. Outside, the world shifted. Orchid's shadow faded. Blackline fractured. New alliances rose, and I, Cole, became both ghost and guardian, watching from the shadows, waiting, because the real war had only just begun.